I have a question to ask both of you, if you don't mind, because you got to help me out with this. Does the G in MSG stand for gag? Because what a gag job that was by the Knicks last night. Dynamite job, folks. Way to go. Way to celebrate and climb stuff in the streets of Manhattan after advancing past the second round for the first time in 185 years or whatever it was. Way to go. Way to follow that up with your home crowd last night. What the hell was that?
The storyline touched on Reggie Miller, and he is a part of the original gag job. So there you go.
I do love the fact though that it felt like you were watching that I don't want to say rivalry, but that game again. I mean, Tyrese Hallebertton knew exactly what he was doing when he hit that shot. That seemed miraculous. The way it bounced, the way he took the shot, but unbelievable comeback. I mean, once they tied it up, I mean, I don't know how you guys felt, but I was like, this game's over. Like Indianapolis is going to win this in overtime if this thing holds true. So it was unbelievable. But this Pacers team, I think we've underestimated, at least I've underestimated all throughout the playoffs. I did not think that they were a team that was going to be able to make it to the NBA Finals, even could win it. Now I feel like they're a team you just can't count them out.
I mean, Naismith hit those eight threes. I think the Knicks underestimated some aspects of the Pacers. And I don't know if the way the Pacers won that game, I don't know how sustainable that is. But it definitely is entertainment. It made it a entertaining game. I mean, there was a lot of excitement. Madison Square Garden was rocking, and they ended up letting it get away, man. And I mean, I just don't know how feasible it is if I'm the New York Knicks to look at that loss as a catalyst for the rest of the series. But if I'm the Indiana Pacers, how are they viewing the game? Like, I think this is one of those games where it's like, okay, you got out of the first game and you won that first game in a hostile environment, and you overcame improbable type of odds. I mean, being down as far as they were, to be able to climb back into the game, which now again goes back to the whole conversation of live by the deep ball, die by the deep ball. They were able to find the rim. They kept leaving them open to shoot the ball, and Naismith continued to make it. And so I'm certain that's an adjustment that the Knicks can make. You're not. I doubt we're going to see Naismith hit 30 points, maybe ever again in this series. But Hallebertton delivered. He delivered what he has generally delivered, and was able to send the game into overtime, and they were able to win the game. But I do not think they were the better team in the game, and so it'll be interesting to see how the series continues to unfold, because again, that could be considered to be one of those demoralizing victories or demoralizing losses to the New York Knicks. But in game one, it shouldn't be a demoralizing victory, because if I'm the Knicks, if I'm the coach, I'm walking away from it. I'm saying we clearly were the better team, and some lapses in judgment in terms of maybe how they played defense. You could hear, Chuck and Shaq and Draymond. Draymond was kind of throwing it like, hey, look, that was an adjustment that they should have made. They shouldn't have sacrificed something to do something. I forget how he explained it, but I guess it's, slipping and switching. They weren't switching or slipping the picks that were taking place to free Naismith up. So, I don't know. I think those are adjustments that they can make and maybe make it a better game, a better series moving forward.
You're not alarmed by how they lost that game moving forward? I mean, Shaq was making the point when Naismith hit 2 and then 3 and then 4, it was like, okay, well, at some point, somebody's going to have to address that. They missed free throws down the stretch. Their defense completely fell apart late, and Tibbs is a defensive guy. Like, I looked at last night's game, and I'm like, that might have been the series. I swear to God, that might have been. They just
You're
lost.
already throwing in the towel?
They just lost home court on an all-time collapse. And for the record, Indiana has been better than many people have thought or realized for a long time. You can go back to last year when they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. They were here last year and got swept by the Celtics. And if you go back and watch that series, they were in every one of those games. Like, they were competitive. They probably should have won the first game there. This is a really good team. They're really deep. They're much deeper than the Knicks are. They're the Eastern Conference equivalent, I think, of the OKC Thunder. I don't think they're as good, but last night was problematic for the Knicks, if it's me.
I think the irony to this team is they remind me a little bit of the 2004 team, which was the last time they won an Eastern Conference Finals game, if you think about that. But obviously Hallebertton fits the bill of what Reggie Miller was as a shooting guard. And then you kind of look through some of the other pieces they had on that team. Steven Jackson, I don't know if you want to compare him to Neesmith or someone else, Jermaine O'Neal, you could maybe compare to some of those. But it's like the pieces of this team seem to match up somewhat similarly back to that team 21 years ago and the way they were able to play. So I look at it and just say it's weird how history tends to repeat itself, but you couldn't have found a better player, at least this early in his career, in Tyrese Hallebertton, who's kind of fit that bill of what Reggie Miller was to the Indiana Pacers, at least as a three-point shooter. By the way, when he made that shot and turned around and did the choking gesture, he turned and pointed. Was Spike Lee at the game last night? Do you think
he was pointing at Reggie because Reggie Miller was calling the game?
Okay, because it looked like he pointed more, not towards the middle of the court where Reggie would have been, but more like to another spot on the court. It looked like he was pointing to more where Spike Lee would have been.
Yeah, he was. I guess
Spike Lee definitely would have been there, though.
That's what I'm saying. Is it didn't initially? It looked like he kind of looked over at Reggie, but then he pointed more like off the side on where like a guy like Spike Lee would be sitting on the court side.
So Hallebertton actually spoke afterwards about the gesture. I was not familiar with the term aura farming, but apparently that's a thing. Let's take a listen.
I wasn't like plotting on it or anything. Everybody wanted me to do it like last year at some different point, but it's just got to feel right. And it felt right at the time. If I would have known it was a 2, I would not have done it. So I think I might have wasted it. If I do it again, then people might say I'm like aura farming. So I'm not, I don't plan on using it again.
What a great moment, man. By the way, if Tracy...
You aura farm, by the way, a little bit.
Do you think so?
Dang.
You definitely try to, as someone takes, which I don't know how the proclamation you just made about the Indiana Pacers after that win, how that's not a pick. I mean, you've basically already said what the rest of the series is going to be.
I mean, listen.
I knew it was coming. Didn't, though. But better late than never.
Hey, Pacers plus 4.5, never in doubt. Never in doubt. That was easy money all the way through. A full-fledged bank heist there at Madison Square Garden.